I'd like to call the August 23rd meeting of the Dartmouth School Committee to order. Per Governor Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, Section 20, and the legislature's extension of that order, the public will not be allowed to physically access the school committee meeting. Members of the public can access the meeting via live stream at youtube.com/Dartmouth Community Media. In addition, the event will be rebroadcast on DCTV channels 9 and 18 on the following days: Wednesday and Thursday at 5 p.m., Friday at 6 a.m., Saturday at 8 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. The school committee reserves the right to implement additional remote participation procedures and will notify the public of these procedures as soon as practicable. With that, I will have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May we have a roll call, please, Ms. Genther?
Shannon Jenkins.
Here.
Mary Waite.
Here.
Kathleen Amaral.
Here.
John Nunes.
Yep.
Chris Oliver.
All right, thank you. So the first item on our agenda is public comment. I know we've been receiving emails to Ms. Genther and directly to us. All of those emails that did not come to us that came to Ms. Genther have been forwarded to us. I would also invite anyone who would like to comment about any of the items that are on our agenda to forward your comments to Ms. Genther at KathleenGenthner@dartmouthschools.org. Ms. Genther, do we have any emails that we've received since the start of the meeting?
We have not.
Okay, I will come back around at the end of the meeting to see if we have received any other comments. I welcome the public to go ahead and send those emails if they would like to comment. Moving to the next item on our agenda, we have approval of minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the regular session minutes of July 26, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Nunes, a second by Ms. Waite. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next, I will entertain a motion to approve the regular session minutes of August 10th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
All right, so I have a motion by Ms. Amaral, a second by Ms. Waite. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Madam Chair, I will abstain. And just for the record, so everyone knows, I was not on vacation.
I apologize.
I was at UMass
He was
Amherst
at a work conference.
at a conference for my certification, so I was not in Bora Bora or Tahiti.
So, one, I apologize for that mistake, but two, I will say, if you had been on vacation, it would have been a well-earned vacation, and I hope you get to take one soon.
Yeah.
All right, so we have 3 in favor and 1 abstention on the August 10th minutes. The next item on the agenda is old business. We have an update on return to school, including masks and the test and stay program. Dr. Gifford, I will turn it over to you.
All righty, thank you. So as everyone knows, even though Dartmouth did already say that we were going to maintain our mask protocol, the commission also is looking for authorization to mandate masks for K through 12 schools, all staff, et cetera, and that will be tomorrow at the Board of Education meeting. There's, I would imagine, no chance that that wouldn't pass the Board of Ed. So as we remember, it was till October 1 at least, and there'll be some metrics developed. And he did mention the idea that perhaps it would be, 80% vaccination rate in a school, that you could then go ahead and remove the mask mandate. There's also talk of a possibility of including a percentage of positive cases within that metric. So we'll see more on that. So as of now, everyone will be wearing their masks while in their school buildings. The buildings have been getting ready for opening. We will maintain our normal cleaning protocol, sanitizing, et cetera, et cetera. There will be no social distancing. We are trying to the best of our ability to maintain around 2 to 3 feet at lunch. Some of the chairs are staying in place like they were last year, et cetera. So we're working on that. But again, we just expect everyone to try to live, if you will, within the regulations. Bus transportation, masks must be worn. Windows will remain open. Mr. Kiley's been working, of course, with Trembley's bus to make sure that happens. So we're assuming that will happen because there will be, according to the guidance, the contact tracing is not for the buses this year. So we'll see how that goes. With that said, we did put our application, it's not really an application, it's just our interest, letter of interest for the testing programs that are being offered through DESE in partnership with the CIC Health Organization. We talked to Mr. Michaud about this before even making our decision after the webinars. It looked promising, and he felt it was promising as well. So what we did, we put our application in, obviously, bing, bang, boom, it was accepted immediately. So they're promising the sky, we have to say, and we're not sure if the sky will happen. We'll see, because we put in for that they would have on-site coordinators, people to help us with that, because, and then I'll explain what the various testing programs are that we're looking at. You know, we met with our nurses as well, and if we do not get, we think if we don't get the service or the help, we're not sure how we could possibly administer this testing program. But we're doing all we can to keep kids and students and staff safe, so we put in for it. So I'll explain the two things that we're very interested in, definitely planning on doing, are the symptomatic testing, and that is for when individuals present symptoms at school. They obviously don't come to school if they're sick, and I'll go over some of those new, how they updated the symptoms as well. That's Chris. I'm just, Mr. Oliver, just seeing what he says. Okay.
He's on his way.
Sorry. And so it'd be the normal shallow nasal swab. Actually, Mr. Kiley and I tried it with Mr. Michaud. It's just a little, almost a cardboard. They do that, and then it registers either positive or negative within 15 minutes. The Binax now. So that would be if someone's got symptoms, they would do that. And means you go home if it's particular symptoms, and I will go over those. Then if the close contact testing, and that's for folks not vaccinated, and again, I don't even want to go through all of them because I'll tell you, there's pages and pages of responses, but in general, this is in general. Same thing, so if someone is a close contact, determined to be a close contact, they can do this testing for, we would say 7 days. It said at least 5. Mr. Michaud was recommending 7 days. So every day they would come to school, they'd have their test. If it remains negative, they can stay in school. It's the purpose of trying to keep kids in school and not have to quarantine needlessly. The one that we're not set on just yet is what they called the pool testing last year. We are still considering that, and we'll see how it goes. The difference this year, what they're doing is, last year you would have to, it would be in the pool of 10 samples in one, I'll call it a vial, if you will, and it goes to a lab. If that then was positive, they would have to retest the 10 folks that were in that vial. Supposedly now, the update is that when they do the testing, they would keep individual ones as well. So it goes to a lab, and if that pool becomes positive, they have the other 10 individual samples, and they can determine exactly who's positive, and then they would let the school know. That whole piece we're not sure about yet, because it is random testing, and it says maybe every week, you know, so we haven't really vetted that out yet. Obviously, none of this can happen for a student unless a parent gives permission, so we were actually looking at our permission slips today. I was just starting to get those ready to go. We want to see if we can do them electronically, that people would sign off. The permission slip would include all 3 testing options, because if a district decides throughout the year that you want to go ahead and engage in a different one, the parent has already given permission for all 3. But we would then let them know we are now starting to, let's say it's the pooled one, which we're not sure about yet. So people would be kept in the know whether we were going ahead and go ahead and do that. What am I missing, Mr. Kiley?
Just,
Pretty-
you know, just to remind people in terms of air filtration, we talked a little bit about what we're continuing to do. We'll be continuing to have air purifiers in every classroom and in most adult spaces throughout the buildings. So there's one right over there. And we have 521 deployed throughout the district. So we could be continuing to use those and encourage good hand hygiene and support the schools in every way that we can with PPE and materials that they need, so.
That's kind of it in a nutshell, if you have any questions, of course, but we're ready to go.
Questions? Mr. Noonan, you're good?
Good.
Ms. Waite?
I do. So, just a few. So when we, the students, the parents, well, let me step back. Parents have signed off in the beginning of the year. Will they be notified if then again, so they've signed their permission, but will they be notified that day if their child was tested? How, what will happen?
Well, again, so the pool testing would be, we're not even sure how we might,
Right,
I mean, so let's put
right.
that one aside right now. But the test and stay, they would know that they are in a we call this test and stay mode, if you will. One of the things that we're going to, we will want to have happen is that child will not be allowed to be on the bus. So it would have to be a parent transport, because to know that this child was a close contact and could possibly then be positive, it kind of defeats that purpose. So that would be a piece. The parent's only other option of not including their child in a test and stay program is to do the quarantining.
Okay.
And so again, we're just trying to
Right.
keep kids in school.
Good. Okay, and then I guess, just going back to some, parent comments and questions around all this. If, we have a student who does become ill, last year, of course, we had the ability to bring in the students could be virtual and come in. What do you think will be the plan for those children this year who will have to be home because they're symptomatic or, or they test positive but are asymptomatic and have to be at home?
Actually, that's in the new FAQ. There is no remote learning.
Yep.
So, and it will not count, et cetera. What I've asked the schools to do is just like any other year with illnesses, chickenpox or something, and you'll be hearing from that when they do their school improvement plans. They are going to develop their strategies for supporting kids that have to be out on quarantine or whatever it might be. And again, that might be tutoring sessions. The elementary especially did a nice job last year by just offering different services. And as you recall, the middle school did those after-school programs of teachers having that option. So, but as far as remoting into a classroom,
Okay,
No.
all right, I just wanted to clarify that.
so you'll be
for
hearing
people.
more about the
Okay,
strategies come
okay,
the end of the next the end of the month. It should be the middle and high school presenting,
all right.
and then the elementary next.
Okay, that's helpful. Just
Yeah.
trying to respond. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And let me just back up. So just one of the things that the definition of a close contact will remain the same this year. The 6 feet, 15 minutes in total, blah, 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 without mask and all of those different things. But how we're responding to it, as I said, is very different with all of these different, it's a whole, as it was before, if this, then that kind of
Right,
thing,
okay.
So we're working with the nurses and Ms. Jodwin now to kind of make it a little simpler so folks can understand. But to remind people, I'll just read through the list. These ones in bold, and they included cough as standalone symptoms. So I'll just say that if you have these symptoms, the nurses would also be able to make a better determination on when to do what, right? Last year, they was kind of this back and forth of combination of symptoms, et cetera. So standalones, obviously, it's a fever, 100 or higher, chills or shaking chills. And again, this is all in the DESE updates. Difficulty breathing or shortness of breath. I hate to see any of that happening. New loss of taste or smell, and muscle aches or body aches. And then a cough not due to something that you might know of, you have asthma or something. But the other ones, sore throat, nausea, vomiting, et cetera, those are all in combination with other symptoms. So just folks know, there are a lot of responses that we'll be following, protocols, if you're vaccinated, not vaccinated, et cetera.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make a note, which I was just telling Dr. Jenkins, the Needham Public Health Office has been working to continue to update all the local communities in town of who's been vaccinated. As of July 29th, the 12 to 15 population in Dartmouth was 44% vaccinated, and the 16 to 19 was only 29% vaccinated. So even if we got the 80% vaccination all clear, let's take the masks off, we're not there yet.
A long way to go.
Long way to go, and again, that was July 29th, so
But
we'll see. Yeah,
That's not that long ago.
No,
no,
that's,
no.
come on, people.
Ms. Waite, go ahead.
Again, just like one other, I mean, just going back through these parent, comments that we've gotten in questions is, I felt like, last year, certainly nurses they're great about working with parents and families, and certainly more than reasonable. I had
Right.
parents who just wrote and said, well, will we be, constrained to the same, we're going to get a note saying your child's missed X amount of days with 10 days. My gut says that they're going to be generous around that given the circumstances, but I think I'd go back to you and just to
Yeah.
answer that question.
Yeah, but you're right, and we talked about that actually with our nurse meeting last week, and we're gonna talk through that a little bit more. And I know probably the parents that really worry the most are those that are going to Voc, with the 8th grade absenteeism, or even the high school that are moving on. I can understand the concern, so we're gonna be talking about our practices and protocols on that.
But
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, it is a state mandate that at a certain number of days, a
Right.
letter must be sent.
Right, right.
So we have to send the letter because we have to
Exactly.
comply with the state mandate.
Yeah,
So we need
that's
to
the
lead
tricky
from the
part.
state,
Yeah, right,
state
right,
on that
Mm-hmm,
if
Okay.
we're not going to send letters.
right.
That having been said,
Mhm.
if you get a letter, I think the administrators are always great, and if you call them up,
Exactly.
they'll say, we understand
Yeah.
they were out for COVID, we're
Yeah.
working with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not gonna come down and yell at you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But people will get letters if they miss that, because we have to comply with the state
Yeah.
regulation on that.
that's fine, but
Thank you.
So that's,
again, it comes down to using common sense.
right, right.
If your child wakes up in the morning and doesn't
Right.
feel good,
Keep them
keep
home.
them home.
Keep
Yes.
them
Don't-
home.
Yes.
Load them up on Advil or Tylenol and send them, because when it wears off, it's all over,
Right.
so.
Ms. Emerald,
Sorry.
do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any additional
you very
questions.
much.
And Mr. Nunes, you're good?
I'm good.
All right, very good.
All right, if there are no further questions on the update on the return to school, I'd like to move under old business, the authorization to release executive session minutes from 2019. Mr. Nunes, I know you had some questions, so do you want to make a motion to
Sure.
reflect what your questions are?
Sure. That's fine. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we release the executive session minutes of 2019 for the following dates: May 13th, June 10th, July 8th, September 9th, September 25th, October 7th, and November 18th, and December 16th, all of the year 2019. All others, please hold.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Nunes, a second by Ms. Amaral. We're obviously not going to discuss why Mr. Nunes wants to hold them, because they're executive session minutes.
You?
And so that part of that discussion aside, is there any other discussion on the motion? That's fine with me. I will say, Mr. Nunes, I will defer to your concerns on this, and so
Yep.
this seems fine to me.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda under old business is the report on ESSER grant funds. Mr. Kiley.
Okay, so I shared with you a spreadsheet that has a lot of information on it. So we have been, just recently, been approved for our SR 2 grant, which is $1,271,000. We also are preparing, I should say, to apply for the ESSER 3 grant, which is $2,945,000. This spreadsheet depicts how we're going to focus our efforts. There's a few things with ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 that we need to address. ESSER 2, these different pieces of legislation come with different strings attached. So ESSER 2 requires monies spent on social and emotional health of students. And ESSER 3 requires monies be spent on learning loss and the effects of the pandemic. So, unfortunately, those are very realistic, easy things to spend money on because we know we're going to have issues with those, and we've identified here some ways that we're going to focus our efforts and support students through the next 3 years. So the ESSER 3 monies will go through the end of, actually, they'll go through September 30th of 2024, so past the end of the 24 school year. The ESSER 2 monies will run out in at September 30th, 23. But what we've done is put a plan together of how we would spend the bulk of those funds. We also want to be, and we've been saying this all along, we want to be flexible. This is going to be a process that it will be a learning process for us and our staff as we work with kids and identify needs along the way, and we want to be nimble enough and flexible enough to respond to those. So not every dollar of ESSER 3 is allocated at this point in this plan. But the ways that we're going to focus our efforts are on social and emotional supports, learning loss, the individual needs of students, and we're going to do that through a number of different ways. Some are staff related and some aren't. Social workers and adjustment counselors, reading specialists, instructional technology specialists, a nurse, special education, teachers and team facilitators, teacher assistants, after-school programs, professional development, special ed services, instructional materials for staff that are related to their professional development, and technology. So we have a broad plan. We're certainly touching a lot of different areas, and we've done this collaborating with the schools and talking about how we can support them and in their mission to support the kids. So there's concerns with this. The great part is that these funds are available. We're going to be able to support kids with these monies. The downside is that they are going to go away, and there's, in my mind, no way that we're going to be able to maintain this. But that's the intent of the funds. The intent of the funds is to address the results of this pandemic and the deficiencies that in learning and the supports that are needed. So that's the intent of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to be very strategic as we move through this process so that we try and minimize that cliff at the end as best we can. But there is no way that we can eliminate that cliff. It's not going to happen. So we are not unlike any other school district in that regard. There is no way that you can buy materials with this that are going to be around for 10 years, and it's too much money. So the only way that you can, and let's face it, we're a people business, and that's what we do well, and we have great people, and we're going to have some more great people over the next few years to help kids. But so that's our focus with these funds. With ESSER 3, there's an extensive process of meeting with stakeholder groups and talking about what our plan is and what they see as needs that we may not be addressing, or we may be addressing, hopefully, with some of these funds. So we're in that process still. October, we have to file that for that application. So it comes quick, but we're in the midst of that right now.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley.
You're welcome.
I do have to say, it does make me nervous to see so many recurring revenues, right? Expenditures on a a non-recurring revenue source. But, I mean, I think your point is important, that we can't remedy learning loss or social emotional needs of our kids without people. It requires people, and that's just the only way we're going to do that. So I hope also that we can work with the town a little bit. Many meetings back, I made a comment that it's hard sometimes because we have to put forward requests for people in chunks, right? It's one person or two people, right? We can't plan over multiple years, but this seems to me that it would be good to work with the town to maybe request a little less in the next few years, and the town can sort of bank a little of that maybe, so that some of these positions are in fact really quite necessary, not just now, but moving forward, to do that. And I think that might be helpful for us to sort of explore some multi-year planning with them, to mitigate the effects of this cliff as much as possible. That having been said, I understand why we need these people. Other comments, questions? Mr. Nunes?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for this, Mr. Kiley. I'm going to make an assumption that this is going to be a work in process, and this is not something that we're going to go out and chisel in stone because of the way things are, that you know, like New England weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change type of deal. But that being said, in all seriousness, you know, to take care of, you know, the social and emotional needs of our students, you know, we've all talked about that over the past almost 2 years now, 18 months. And then other things that we can do, you know, between after-school programs and writing training and, you know, transportation for after-school programs. It's great. Yeah, is it a, you know, I mean, if you think about it, you're over the long haul, you're putting, you know, $4.2 million into a budget, you know, via grants and that type of deal. We'll have to cross that bridge down the line as to how we handle it and how we, you know, I mean, I for one, and this is my thoughts is we continue with our own regular budgeting, and this is above and beyond type of deal. So, but well done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Amaral?
So just thank you for this. Thank everyone for all of your hard work with all of this, all of these moving pieces. I don't know if you could speak to down toward special ed teacher facilitator. I, of course, you know, I understand the facilitator position, but in the way that it's worded, is it like a split position? Or
No, why we put, excuse me, teacher, we wanted people to know that it
qualification?
was
Oh.
a teacher to start off with, that, you know, so, but their role will be as a facilitator.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
just what you're thinking, a
Yep.
facilitator. And why that came about was after meeting with Beth and Lori Jodwin, and just looking at the number of team meetings that go on in these two schools in particular.
Okay.
We felt it was a real necessity to be able to take the load off some of the folks that are in there already and be able to devote more time to other things. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's just what you're thinking.
Yeah. And I was making that assumption
Yep.
using John's word, assuming that like you said, when it's about the social emotional well-being, is taking those people, you know, away from the duties that they could be working on some social emotional pieces with those,
Yes.
you know, those meetings. And then you answered my second question. I was curious as to why just those two versus I was just sort of theoretically thinking the middle and high school and all the other but it's the numbers.
It was
It's
the sheer
numbers.
numbers, yeah, and the
okay.
need, and of course with our, especially that Cushman, as you probably know,
Yeah.
we have more and more students that need assessments
Yes.
and evaluations, like
Yes.
over the top.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
can
think with the
imagine.
year that we've had, it's going to be even more.
Of
you know,
course.
So,
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. That's all I have.
Ms. Waite?
Yeah, I just want to say again, like, thank you for the tremendous amount of work that, you know, you put into this. And so relieved that we at least have this to help us bridge this time. I mean, I can't even imagine, you know, with everything that we have in front of us and, you know, a lot of the unknowns. Are you already employing some of this? You know, I know as we're kind of going through the grants, like what is that process looking like? Because I would imagine a lot of other schools are trying to find the same, you know, staff, and we're, you know, in a fairly competitive, you know, field for that. So,
Right, right. We are. The one we've had a real hard time, again, is our SLPs.
is what?
The SLPs, that department, we thought we took, what did we say, like 3 steps ahead and then 2 steps back and kind of thing. So we are struggling, trying to get enough folks to fill that position. But the nurse was on board this past year. We hired her as a 1 year to help with the COVID issues, and then thankfully we're able to keep her because it was really very important that we had that extra support. So yeah, we're moving on some of these. Even TAs, trying to fill TA positions has been a little tricky. The number of candidates we're getting, so it's kind of hard. So we're still in the process of filling, but, you know, we thought we were kind of done for a while, and just ask Kate. We'll get a resignation, a retirement, and so.
Have you filled those high school positions that I know that you were looking into, the physics and the...
We still had people reject the physics job, to be honest, but we just had someone call today and say, is it still opening? So, still open, so we'll see what happens. We do have a little backup plan Ross has been working on, shuffling folks and seeing how we might be able to fill that need within. The LMC, right here, we just had a recommendation for that position just today. I was signing papers on that, so
Oh, great.
that should be
That's
good,
great.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you both.
You're
Again,
welcome.
so much work. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Sorry.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so moving on to new business. Dr. Gifford, I'm going to ask, did you get a text from Mr. Oliver that he's on his
Yeah.
way?
No.
Okay. No,
Oh.
he's unable to make it.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, let me see what,
Right.
I
The
didn't
only
wanna
reason
look,
why I
I didn't
asked
wanna
is
look rude.
I was going to skip the meeting dates if he was on his way, because it
Yeah.
doesn't make
Nope,
sense.
he's not, he can't.
He's
he gives-
unable to be
He's
here.
apologizing, he messed up his schedule, so.
Okay,
Yep.
so he's unable to be here. Do we want to discuss these meeting dates? That's the next item under new business. And then we can have Ms. Genther follow up with Mr. Oliver to see if those work for him.
Yeah.
Does that work? Okay,
I mean, these work for me,
Same.
okay?
I believe these work for me. My only question is Monday, October 11th. I might not be able to make that.
That's Columbus Day,
No, we
we're not
put that
meeting.
Day, right,
Yeah.
right, right,
Oh,
right.
you just put it in there? Okay, I thought
Just
it,
to note it.
I thought it was a meeting.
No.
I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna be here.
Right.
All right, now I get, that's why we're not meeting
Not
on that
meeting.
date. Understood, all right. So then we already have set up September 13th, September 27th.
Yeah.
I'm just saying these out loud so
Yeah.
the public watching can hear them. In October, we would meet Monday, October 18th. In November, that would be November 1st and November 15th. And in December, it would be December 13th. That works for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Ms.
And
Amaral.
Just to clarify, Madam Chair, 6:30 start time for
Yes,
those.
and
Okay.
during the school year, we
Yeah.
start at 6:30.
Thank you.
This is our last summer meeting,
Mhm.
so
And then we have September 29th, we've got a workshop.
a workshop with MASC.
Yeah.
All right, so we don't need a motion on that, so that's fine. So the next item on the agenda is the authorization to release the executive session minutes for 2020. Mr. Nunes, I know you said you had some things you wanted to hold for 2019. Are there any?
2020, I'm fine.
Okay, so would you like to make a motion?
Sure, Madam, make a motion, we release the executive session minutes from 2020 as noted in the agenda. Do you want me to read them?
No,
No,
that's
that's
fine. I
fine.
think that's okay.
But as noted in the agenda.
I have a motion, do I have a second? All right, so a motion by Mr. Nunes, we'll go Ms. Amaral for the second. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries unanimously. Dr. Gifford, time for your superintendent's
All right.
update.
And Mr. Oliver just texted again that those dates work for him.
Okay, good.
So he's listening somewhere. Okay, just a couple of things. Let's see. As you know, we've been holding the Accelerated Learning Academy, the last 2 weeks, and we had about 108 students that have been involved with K through 2 from all the elementary schools, and then 11 teachers, a literacy coach, 2 teaching assistants, and 2 weeks of that, and it's been wonderful, the teaching that's going on. Miss Olivera said she walked through a couple times and just really, really pleased with what's going on. Project Time was this week as well, so we had all our new, except those that are still being hired, in their introductory meeting, and a lot of us came in, were able to meet them and say hello and kind of chat for a little bit. And we had presenters from across the district. They learned all the little things, Teach Point, Rubicon, Atlas, Aspen, all the fun stuff, and kind of learn about Dartmouth. On September 8th, I think it was the 8th, the policy subcommittee meeting we were holding, just to let folks know, we're going to try to address 3 policies that day. The harassment, we need a couple little updates to that. The naming of sections of facilities, we want to make sure we have that policy in place, because as you know, we've had a couple of requests on that. And also, Mr. Carley and I met with Mr. Tattlebaum recently, and they were just asking if there could be some kind of clarification on use of the turf field for especially some of the rec groups, et cetera. So if we could, we're looking to update that policy, procedure and protocols. I mean, we've been, Mr. Kiley always tries to help groups that want to use it, but as you know, we use it like crazy too, between the band program, all of the sports that we have. So we'd like to look at a turf field use policy and procedure, and just to try to help our partners, our recreation partners, be able to use the field a little bit more. Let's see. And I want to check this with you, Ms. Carley. I forgot today. The September 11th at the field, is that still on? I thought I heard you say.
Yes,
Okay. I didn't know if there was a conflict of some sort.
there was.
Okay, but you
But,
fixed it.
yep.
Good. So the Dartmouth Veterans Advisory Board will be holding a a celebration, if you will, of the September 20th anniversary of September 11th, a memorial, actually. And that will be at 11 o'clock on September 11th at the Memorial Field. And I already spoke about this, and I already spoke about that, and I think that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions
right.
for Dr. Gifford?
Excuse me.
Okay, so my turn to report to the chair. The Equality and Diversity Subcommittee met, and I just want to keep everyone updated on where we are and what we're going. We were not able to connect with Mr. Ventura and Mr. Pereira for the meeting on the 18th, and so I have reached out for them. We're going to try it the opposite way. We're going to have them give us a date, and then us schedule a meeting around the date to present. So I think that might work better, because we set the date and it didn't work for them, and then so we're going to look to have a presentation from them at, I asked them for some dates in the last 3 weeks of September, and then we'll try to arrange for the committee to hear from them on that date. So I will let you know when and if I hear back from them and we have a date settled on that. The second thing it has under the report of the chair is that we said at our last meeting that we would not have physical access to our school committee meetings, but that we would revisit that decision every meeting. And so that's why I have it here, because I want to open it up for you. I know we've been having a lot of comments and emails. I will reiterate, every email that comes to Ms. Genther is forwarded to us, so we do see all public comment. All of us do. It is also available. It's a matter of public record because it is emailed to us as public officials. So we are getting that information. I personally, given rising cases in the start of the school year, I'm not quite ready to open meetings to the public at this point, but this is not my decision. This is a decision of the committee. So I will take input from anyone at this point if they'd like to comment.
Why does everybody look at me?
We'll go down this way.
No, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. No, I'm kidding. Seriously, and I'll get to the public comment part after. As far as trying to, again, open these, meetings, to the public. I don't think we should at this point in time. I mean, again, all you had to do was, you've got what Dr. Gifford had from, the Needham Health Director, that he, the statistics that he had there. Also, too, if you take a look in the Standard Times this morning, where southeastern Massachusetts, not only the town of Dartmouth, but southeastern Massachusetts, what's going on with the rise in COVID cases and everything else, whether you're, unfortunately, even people that are vaccinated are coming down with this variant, not as bad, thank God, but they're coming down with it. So I think, to err on the side of caution at this point in time, for another month anyway is fine. Again, it's like the masks. Maybe somewhere down the line, we'll end up with 100% vaccination, and we'll be good to, nobody will need to wear one. But at this point in time, I think it would behoove us, no disrespect, I'd love to see people here type of deal, but just, ounce of prevention, pound of cure.
Thank you, Mr. Nunes. Ms. Amaral or Ms. Waite?
Yeah, I just, it's not the time to be having people live here. I do wish that we had a better way to sort of, we read all the emails, we get all the emails. I reply to some of them. I can't reply to all of them. And, with my own schedule. But I just wish that there was a better way to, I mentioned last time, or maybe it was Chris, having people on Zoom, and I know that's scary, but perhaps there is a way to allow, I don't know how it can be done. I know, making a little video and emailing it and making a compilation. I don't know. I just wish, personally, that there was a way to, I think the perception, and we're not going to change the perception. We're not going to change anyone's opinion. My opinion is mine. Yours is yours. Yours is yours. And we all have that right. But it just feels some of the, I don't want to read into tone to emails, but even in letters, there's something to be said about hearing somebody speak that versus reading it. And at the beginning, we had Kate reading emails, and you have a lovely way about the way in which you read the emails, but I'm sure the folks that wrote the letters, I forget you are probably saying you didn't emphasize that word enough or whatever. I just wish that there was a better way to capture all of what we're reading. And some things we get are in duplication, and some are just generic sort of letters that people kind of sign off on, and that's great. It's lovely. It's wonderful to hear from people. Like, it's wonderful whether we agree or not. I just remember that time we had that Alice training, and I think I was the only one in the auditorium at the middle school. It would have been wonderful to have people come and hear about the plan, and I showed up with my daughter's friend's grandpa, who's wonderful, and we were the only ones in the building. But you don't know if, again, can't have everyone here because we might get 100 people, we might get 2 people. Just can't open it up right now. I just personally wish, and I'm not the expert, and I know everyone is just exhausted.
Well, and
mentally, physically,
I would say that I
emotionally.
think this is the big problem.
Yeah.
I've been on campus, present at 2 different Zoom bombings that featured racist, anti-Semitic things, full nudity, right? So we have to be really careful about that. We can't, I think, just allow open access, because when you do that, that's when those things happen. So now we're looking at, we can't really allow open access. It was traumatizing when it happened to us,
Yeah.
like really traumatizing. So you can't allow open access. So that means someone has to pre-screen, pre-filter. And I know that I don't think any of us have the time to do that, right? And I know that our staff and our teachers and our administrators don't have the time. Their focus has to be on getting school open right now.
I agree.
So perhaps maybe if things open up and go more smoothly, maybe, we're in a pattern, things are going well, we don't have lots of positive tests, right? It's more like a normal school year, then maybe we can look at that. But I think over the next at least month, I think it's fair to say that I don't think anyone in the schools have the bandwidth to do that. And I am personally, after having experienced that, not comfortable with not having any sort of filter. What happened was a publicly accessible sort of link that we would have to do, got circulated around the internet, and people found it, and they did some really bad things. So that's my
Yeah.
sort of personal concern. I do want to hear from people. I'm just not sure, we don't have the personnel bandwidth to do it, and I don't think we can do it in an open way. Like, if someone came in here and was naked, we would know what to do with them, right? We would call the police and arrest them. That's not how it works when it happens on Zoom, and that could be a really bad issue. Ms. Waite?
Can I just, just in between, as we talk about the letters, the emails that are sent to us are public record, where can people access those? If they wanted to go on and say, because I mean, that could be somewhere, and it's a in between where, they're there. If you want to, someone, feels compelled, they feel passionate about a subject, they've sent us an email, they've taken the time, you can go on and read this for the 5 minutes before the meeting. Where can those be found if they are
All subject to freedom of information.
Freedom of
Okay, so someone
information.
has to
Freedom-
specifically
They
request
have to,
those.
they would have to request them under the Freedom of Information Act.
Is there, I mean, again, like it doesn't have to be decided today or, but just as we're kind of thinking out alternative options, is there a way to have those accessible rather than we're requesting those so that they can be seen, or that's not,
Not that I really know of.
No.
okay.
I don't know.
That's something that could be, okay.
I mean,
About that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
understand-
just trying to think about like, that
There's
kind
a
of is a
way.
middle
Yeah.
step of like, I've written to the, you're not speaking it, but here are my words, it's submitted with, enough time frame, that they can be, put out there before the meeting. Just a thought as like a middle path between being, bombed in the middle of a meeting versus, actually actively having people here. But yet we're still, you've been thoughtful and passionate enough about this topic that you want to connect and explain your position and be heard. Of course, we're reading those. I understand that. But, there's a greater call for, people to be heard, however we want to, and I understand, really our point and as a committee is not to be a forum, certainly for public discussion, is to get the work of the schools done. Like, absolutely. But I understand, that we have this, again, people want to have their voice
Yeah.
out there. So just as a thought. And again, we can revisit
Again,
it the next meeting.
I think the issue right now, though, is we have to
Yeah.
focus on opening
Yep.
schools. That
Yep, I
still
agree.
requires
That's-
work.
Yep.
And
That's-
I'm
I've-
loath, knowing how the summer has gone and how the start of the year is shaping up, to ask people.
Right.
People have the right to send us emails. That is their right to do so. But I don't want to put additional work on school personnel at this point in time right now.
Yeah.
Mr. Nunes, were you going to add something or no?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Fair enough. And
All right, so that is it that I have for my report. I also have any other matters that might not have been anticipated at the time of the agenda posted. Anything? Mr. Nunes?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of things. First and foremost, I just want to thank everyone who helped out with the cadets from Allentown, Pennsylvania being here. Custodians, maintenance staff when the water pipe let go at 1 o'clock in the afternoon type of deal and such, and, jumped in to get it fixed. Also, all the townspeople that came out on the Monday night to see the show. I mean, the kids, they were well received, and they, talking with them after, I was here all week with them, and they loved it. It was great, and you were Dr. Gifford was talking earlier about the testing and everything else, and these young men and women, they're tested on a almost daily basis type of deal, for COVID, and I even had the privilege a couple of times of getting my eyeballs tickled, so, just because of being in and out with them, so, but, seriously, thanks, and, they enjoyed being here and look forward to coming back. I think we all got an email from Rachel Lassie on her volleyball camp. That was great to see. I forgot all about that, I'll be honest, so I'm glad that went well. Mike, our wonderful cameraman here tonight happened to make the comment, this is his last meeting as he's moving on to bigger and better things. And Mike, thank you for everything. Yeah, you turn the camera, take a bow, you know. But thank you for that. And last, and certainly not least, but I'll save the best for last. We all got an email, and I'm gonna get my dander up a little bit, and I'll apologize now, but we all got an email from a lady this afternoon, 118, mine arrived, type of deal. And thank you to Kate for forwarding it to me. A couple of comments that I have to make on it, to the parent. Please understand that we can't, students between, from, under age 12 can't be vaccinated. So, yes, they have to wear masks. It's as simple as that. More importantly, as has been discussed, we do receive them, okay? We do look at them. I got mine all, believe it or not, I have a file set up in my computer. I've got them all sitting in there, type of deal, as good as my computer experience is, type of deal. Kate does acknowledge them, okay? I mean, this is, good afternoon, I write to acknowledge and thank you for your email. I will forward your comments to the school committee. So we get them, type of deal. No, we don't read them because there could be one, there could be 50. This one's, ends up being a little, about a page type of deal, okay? Talking about, yeah, people have been on vacation. Well, I haven't been on vacation this week. As I said a little bit earlier, I was up at UMass Amherst at school, okay? And got an email from the campus at 4:36 on the Monday that said effective Wednesday, everybody's going to be wearing masks. Okay, so we all walked around Wednesday and Thursday teaching and sitting in classes, whether you're teaching or you were a student per se, with masks on. So I do emphasize and I do sympathize with teachers and the students because I had to wear one in a classroom and teach and also be a student, okay? And last but certainly not least, I don't know about anybody else, but I sure as hell am not a coward. I have stood in this committee for 31 years, and I've made decisions, right, wrong, or indifferent, and I've stood my ground. So for someone to sit here and say it is cowardly, in my opinion, is wrong, okay? These positions come up every year, and believe me when I tell you, it's a lot easier sitting out there being a Monday morning quarterback than sitting back here and having to make the decisions that we have to make as a committee right now, and I've had to make over the 31 years. So think about that. With that, I rest, Madam Chair. Thank you. I apologize.
Thank you, Mr. Nunes. Ms. Amaral.
I'm just going to, first I want to thank you, Mr. Nunes, for that. Not going to cry. I think I'm the board crier. Thank you. I have a meme I haven't shared because God forbid it says something like school committee and it's a cat like all flustered and it says I did not have fun. I love service to my community, but it has been a tough go.
Yes.
But I'm just going to repeat something I mentioned last week regarding the ESSER 3 funds. And so Mr. Kiley mentioned that ESSER 3 funds are coming up for application and there are stakeholder forums, and I want to applaud our district because I've shared it on social media through the CPAC, which I currently still am chair with that hat on. Again, a plug for anyone that wants to volunteer. I'll happily mentor you. That other districts aren't being so, they're doing it, but they're not being so forthcoming and transparent around it. But on Wednesday at 1:30 and 5:30, the Special Education Parent Advisory Council is hosting the forum for parents of students with disabilities. And so if you want to be part of that conversation, learn a little bit more about what is asked of you to in regards to your feedback toward what might be, looking for some themes, and the district really wants to hear from parents to inform sort of their decision making around prioritization. So ESSER 3 funds relate to student attainment of skills lost, and I'm not looking at the terminology, but versus ESSER 2 with social emotional. So if you have anything to share, please, you can email me at the school committee, Kathleen Amaral, at dartmouthschools.org or dartmouthcpac@gmail.com. you can look for the Facebook page and you can just log in. It's a webinar style, and there'll be a presentation with opportunity for feedback. So I just encourage anyone that has something to say regarding this stakeholder to just register. Quick, half hour, 45-minute each time, 2 time slots for your convenience. So that's what I have.
And thank you for doing it.
Yeah, no, my
helps us,
pleasure.
yeah.
Ms. Waite?
Yeah, I just, first, thank you, Mr. Nunes, very much. And I just want to, say that, we are receiving a lot of emails from parents who are concerned about masks. I think the pediatric advice has been very, very clear. And, I keep, when I'm able to respond to parents, I do tell them over and over again, please speak to your local pediatricians. And, I was at Hawthorne this morning. I asked, again, like, what is your advice? And they said, absolutely, and we're seeing more children who are coming in sick. We're facing a nursing shortage. So it is really, there are a lot of, it's real. And, again, if I've yet to hear from a pediatrician who is advising parents to not have their children wear masks. It's completely the opposite. So, it is, this is a real concern. Okay, so, thank you.
More importantly, if you're over 12 and you're able to, okay, get the
Vaccinated.
vaccine.
Yeah, I agree.
So thank you for that, everyone. I do want to, even though my report is done, I have now remembered one other thing I wanted to bring up with you all, and I think perhaps this might be an item that we put on the agenda for the next meeting, and that is the use of school space by outside groups. I know the use of school space by outside groups. I know, like, I'm on the board of the DEF, and we put in a request to use school space in May, and in May we were like, everything's great, we're gonna have a normal fall, right? Let's go ahead. And I am just concerned right now about having large groups of people using our school spaces, people from outside the school. I'm not talking about students and, if you're coming in for band competition, that is part of our school activities. But I'm talking about something like the DEF, which is an outside organization. We don't have to do that here. And so I think we should have a discussion about that sort of as a committee about whether we want to allow for that. And so I think it wasn't on the agenda, so I'm not sure I want to have a full conversation now. But I think maybe we should put that on the next meeting agenda unless anyone objects. Mr. Nunes, you have a question or
Yeah,
comment
no,
on that?
and again, I think it's a wonderful idea, in all seriousness. Whether we do it at the next meeting, because we've got the new teachers coming in, so that kind of not that I care,
Right.
it extends the meeting a little bit, so if you want to do it then, or you want to do it at the end of September, either one of those, but I know you guys are up against a timeline,
Right.
so.
That's, I think,
However
why
you-
I'd want to do it the next one.
However
because
you
there
want
are
to do it,
some
I
other
was
events
just,
going on.
thinking of, with the new teachers, that's all, but I'm good with it, however you want to do it, Shannon, I'm good with
I
it.
think there are some other groups, some large events. Again, these, I think, were all approved before things had changed. I think this will give us a couple of weeks to see how things are going in school.
Yep.
And we can see if we feel comfortable with it, if we can't. I know on our campus too, we've implemented some requirements when outside groups use our facility. Like you have to maintain a list of all the people that come. They have to, so that way we can
Right.
do contact tracing.
Right.
So
Oh, yeah.
I think we just need to think about that, just so if we do have big outside groups that we're being consistent
Right.
with how they're treated and what we want. Or if maybe we don't want them for a while.
Yeah.
if Numbers keep going up. So let's talk about that next week, or not week,
Next
next
meeting.
meeting. Sorry to panic, everyone. And then I'll ask Ms. Genther, did we receive any public comment during the meeting?
We have not.
Okay, thank you. So if there are no other comments or questions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Our next meeting is September 11th, September 13th, I'm sorry.
13th, Yes.
One other thing, too,
Go ahead.
is September 10th, I think, Friday night is our first football game against Bishop Stank.
Okay, thank you.
So, good way to start. Madam Chair, make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that.
All right, so I have a motion by Mr. Nunes, a second by Ms. Amara. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
Thank